These highlights of the Spar Grand Prix Cape Town are brought to you by Spar and Athletics South Africa. The final leg of the 2022 Spar Grand Prix takes place in Greenpoint, Cape Town on a bright Sunday morning. Runners from all over the country and outside South Africa gather in the shadow of the giant soccer stadium. For most, this will be a joyful, fun exercise, while for others, a serious quest for cash, fast times and precious Grand Prix points. Yvette van Zyl is back from injury, while the Palula twins, Lebo and Lebogang, have run most of the Grand Prix races this year. The red colours of Boxer are prominent again, with one of their star runners, Prix, in action again. Of course, Spar Grand Prix leader Tadunare is back, and making the trip from Stellenbosch is legend Zola Butt with a group of admirers. There's a hint of tension in the air as the elite athletes warm up. There's plenty at stake today after two races up in the thin air of Gauteng, in Tshwane and Johannesburg. They are back at sea level on a fast, flat course that promises really fast times. The route consists of 2 laps of 5 kilometers each, starting outside the Greenpoint track. The race is set in the world-famous V&A waterfront crescent, one of South Africa's most famous attractions. The first kilometer takes them towards the V&A waterfront, where they swing left at Granger Bay, heading for Mooley Point. There they make a left turn into Beach Road, with the ocean on their right and top-end high-rise apartment blocks on the left. At 3 Anchor Bay, the route takes them into Helen Suzman Boulevard. The halfway mark is at Flay Road, outside the stadium. The runners repeat this lap before finishing on the blue tartan of the splendid athletics track. The field of runners is small compared with the first 5 Spar Grand Prix legs, but the runners up front are as competitive as ever. Tadunare in the green colours of Nedbank goes into the lead early, with all the Grand Prix contenders close by. Glenrose Xaba, Prix, Kyla Jacobs, Kesa Molotsane and the Palula twins are all well positioned after the trouble-free start. Tadu looks like she means business from the word go, setting off at a pace that only Glenrose can match. As the leaders approach Beach Road, the club runners trailing them settle into their own predetermined pace. Everyone out there has their own private race goal. Xaba, Helalia Johannes, Salam Gebre and Katisile Sosibo are next in line. The early pace is quick, just over 3 minutes per kilometer. Everyone enjoying a lovely, warm, wind-free morning. Yvette van Zyl and Kesa Molotsane are in the next group, with Comrades Marathon heroine Adele Broderick from Murray and Roberts right up there. This is the pattern we've seen all year, the young Ethiopian runner dominating proceedings. Johannes and Gebre have made up ground with the 2 Boxer runners close by. They've passed 1 kilometer and are about to reach Beach Road at the ocean. In terms of the Spar Grand Prix, the 3 Nedbank runners easily fill the top 3 positions, while Sosibo is looking at a top 6 finish. Xaba unfortunately missed 2 races early on due to commitments on the track and is out of contention for the top 6. So now we have 1 senior runner, 1 over 40 and 1 junior in the podium positions. Approaching 2 kilometers, there's no change, but ranging up behind, Yvette van Zyl leads Kesa Molotsane and Caroline Mandu, all 3 of them looking at top positions on the Grand Prix. Kesa and Caroline, like Tadu and Salam, have run all 6 races, while Yvette missed out through injury. Lebo Palula started the season in fine form, and though battling injuries, she's determined to stay in the top 10. Another consistent runner all year has been Kyla Jacobs of Murray and Roberts, a local Western Province athlete. The 27-year-old runner from Somerset West has run 5 of the 6 Grand Prix races and is handily placed in the top 10 overall. Today is her chance to run a personal best time in her own backyard. We took a trip out to Somerset West to hear how she lives, works as an IT consultant, and trains under coach Ernie Groen, and is surrounded by a super supportive family.
I started running a little bit by accident. So my sister Ainsley, who's also a very competitive athlete, one day per chance just entered and ran the school inter-school run, and she ended up winning it out of the blue. And my mom just said, well, if Ainsley needs to stay after school for practice, I might as well stay as well. And I ended up not being too bad at it. So I got my first provincial colours after the first year, made the Gauteng North team, and then just progressed until running in high school, getting provincial colours every year. And then I actually won my first SA Champs in cross country in 2009 when I was grade 10. Cross country was my first love. It was the first SA title that I got, and then I never used to be that good in track. It's actually more recently in more my, maybe let's call it my mature years, that I made a big breakthrough on the track and found a new love for it. After school, I was able to secure a full athletic scholarship to Coastal Carolina University, where I studied business management and later did my master's in business administration as well. Running in America was a very special and amazing opportunity. Being able to live out your passion and train in a training group with such a lot of support and just competing on a different level. But we had a very nice South African community with Zolabad and her family close by, making really special friends from across the world and in South Africa, but also having that little bit of home available as well.
In June this year, Kyla achieved another milestone when she represented South Africa at the African Champs in Mauritius.
That was a really amazing experience. It's been a goal to get my South African colours again, and just lining up with some of the world's best athletes. So it was really a nice experience sharing it with Custer and the rest of the athletes. It was quite rainy on race day and probably didn't get the time that I was wishing for, but you know, the more exposure we can get to these international events, I think every time you just gain a little bit more experience and it becomes a bit more comfortable. The spar.run Prix really means a lot to me. I think it's a great opportunity for South African runners to all get together in one strong race and push each other and inspire each other to reach new heights. So I think if you look at the current group of athletes in South Africa, I think we really have something special going on, not just in the level of performances, but also in the friendships that we formed and the way that we inspire and help each other just to take South African athletics to a new level. I'm currently 27 years old. I didn't imagine that I'd be running my best times at this age, but big goals for me is to run as close as possible to 15:10 on the 5,000 meter, and then also I would like to dip under 9 minutes on the 3,000. I'm still growing on the road races, so obviously getting at 32 minutes on the 10K is something I'm hoping to achieve this weekend. And for cross country, I really giving it my all to make the World Champs team that is set to happen in Australia next year in February.
Back into the race, Tadu is close to the 3-kilometer mark with Hilalia, Salam, Glen Rose and Kaklisile still in touch. Her pace has slowed a touch, allowing the Yvette group to close the gap slightly. After 3 kilometers in Beach Road, Mooley Point, it's the same. The Tadu group slowly being caught by the Yvette group. Right now, the projected finishing time remains about 32 minutes. At 4 kilometers, the groups have nearly merged, driven by Yvette's pace, making it 8 runners up front. And making her way strongly through the field is hometown girl Kyla Jacobs, having by far her best run of the series. So far today, she stayed back but now finds another gear and passes Lebo Palula to challenge for a place in the leading group.
We're at the end of a Spar Ladies Grand Prix series, and it's always just looking back. It's such a special series, sharing it with teammates and friends, and especially in the Murray and Roberts Club, we really do have a special bond where, you know, it's almost like a girls' weekend away where we can get out, get some dinner, run together, do a shakeout run, and then race hard together. So I think it's something special about the South African culture at this stage, is even though all of us are good friends, once we toe the line, you know, it's really, it is the battle to give it our all.
Now we have the typical Tadu Nara surge breaking up the group as it approaches halfway. The young Ethiopian is grateful for what the Nedbank Running Club and SPAR have done for her in the past 2 years. It's been life-altering.
I would like to say thank you for all the opportunity that you have presented, and if it wasn't for this organized team and for all that you are doing, I wouldn't be here, and it has created a very wonderful platform for me. All in all, the 6 races have been wonderful, This is a beautiful place, to run in, and I love this area, and the atmosphere is wonderful.
After halfway, the pace increases again, leaving the Nedbank trio alone up front, and the Kesa and Yvette group is now quite far off the pace. They still have Glenrose, Kaklisile and Caroline with them, all racing for the rest of the top 8 places today. Kesa is a long-time Spar Grand Prix participant and won the series back in 2017.
I had predicted a very good race this morning for myself. It's been a really rough season for me, with a bit of here and there when it comes to health-wise and problems and challenges. But I pulled through, and I'm glad that at least I could close off the season very nicely. And I'm glad that SPAR has always been on our side. And we thank you for presenting such a beautiful event throughout the country. And amongst everything else, I think the athletes are really grateful for the opportunities.
Going into Beach Road for the second time, the pace is steadily building as Tadu starts her inevitable charge for victory. This has been the pattern of the 6 races. On only one occasion has a local runner, Yvette van Zyl, made it into the podium. Helalia Johannes, Spar Grand Prix winner in 2019, has run 5 races this year, missing 1 due to Commonwealth Games commitments. For her, age is mind over matter.
Age is not a barrier to me, because I know only it requires confidence, hard work, commitment. It just keeps me going. I'm always just listening to my body, and if my body allows me to do my training, I'm just doing it the way my body is telling me to do. But I'm very much happy because at my age, I'm still doing well, and I'm proud of myself.
No question about that. The race is now reaching its final countdown, approaching the 7-kilometer mark. The chasing group is now a long way behind the leaders. In all the races this year, the final few kilometers have been crucial, driven by Tadu Nari's tactic of winding up the pace, burning everyone else off. Now even top international competitors like Johannes and Gebre are struggling to stay with her. For our End Gender-Based Violence insert this week, we visit the Sarki Bartman Center for Women and Children. Responding to the high rates of violence against women and children on the Cape Flats, the center provides a comprehensive range of essential free services to abused women and children. Director Bernadine Bacher tells us more about the center that opened in 1999.
We've managed in the last 23 years to assist 260,000 women and children. And we do that through 9 different programs. So the one wonderful thing about Sarki is as the needs of survivors on the ground change, we extend our services to make sure that we're meeting those needs. So for instance, during COVID, we opened up our food garden where we taught the women how to grow their own food because we were worried about food insecurity, and we started with a food parcel distribution program then. And then we opened up our homeschool center for our children because schools were closed. So that's what Sarki is about. Sarki is about fully and holistically empowering a woman in every way that she needs, so that once she leaves here, she can go back into the community. We are never closed, ever. So a woman can come here any time of the day or night. We have what we call emergency rooms if the social worker is not on duty, so that's any time after 4:30. Nobody gets turned away, ever. So if she comes in after hours, she'd go into the emergency room. We would make sure that she has clothing, that she has food, and would do basic containment therapy with her. And she would wait until the next morning. She'd obviously sleep, and the next morning the social worker would see to her. During the day, it's very, very easy. You walk in the door. So we don't take appointments. The door is open. You saw the security guards, and women can just come in and they can speak to a social worker. We also run the National Shelter Movement Shelter Helpline from Sarki, and that is a 24-hour, 7 days a week shelter helpline that assists women to be placed in shelters and or assist them to get their protection orders or assist them to navigate the criminal justice system. So a woman can phone from anywhere in the country and she will be placed at the nearest shelter and we'll even Uber her there. Substance abuse and gender-based violence are completely intertwined. You will very rarely find one without finding the other. If it's not the perpetrator that has a substance dependency problem, it might be the survivor because she's using substances to cope. And for that reason, we opened up in 2016 our substance abuse unit, the very first one globally for substance abuse survivors that also are survivors of gender-based violence. And in that program, the women would go through the normal programs that they go through in the general unit at Saki. So it's about economic empowerment, it's about her psychosocial functioning, but over and above that, we'll do the 12-step program with her. I'm proud of the work that we do at Saki Bartman because we have such a unique and innovative way of looking at empowering survivors. The difficulty is that the funding is always a challenge. I every year need to pull in between 6 million and 10 million rand, which before was a Herculean task. At the moment is almost impossible. This is a challenge for the entire society, and we're not going to get it right unless everybody in society, including big business, comes to the table and says, actually, this is about us saving this generation and the generations to come.
Tadu is now cruising to another SPAR Grand Prix win, her 5th in a row, and with it a 2nd consecutive victory in the competition. With a 2:23 marathon and 66-minute half marathon, she is now a world-class performer.
Spar አዘጋጆቹ እና ሁሉም የሚሰራ ከእናንተ ጋር ከሱ ጋር የሚሰሩት እና
There's a lot that I have to thank, and I wouldn't have time to mention all of them. But SPAR, definitely what you are doing is not just an easy thing. It's not a simple thing. You are creating a legacy that would last for years to come, and it's a wonderful opportunity not only for the South Africans but for others outside South Africa as well. So I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to SPAR.
This is the battle for 2nd place, the veteran against the junior. Over the past 3 SPAR Grand Prix seasons, Nedbank International runners have dominated. Hilalia Johannes won in 2019, and last year Tadu Nare and Salam Gebre came 1st and 2nd. Now all 3 are in action, claiming the top 3 places in the 2022 SPAR Grand Prix.
This is my last event for the year. I'm just going back and prepare for my exam. Then after my exam, I will just start to do some gym training. Then I'm in the off season. Next year is next year. I will just listen to my body, how it will respond. Then I will see how it will go.
With less than 400 meters to go, Tadu enters the Greenpoint Stadium with no one else inside. It's been another commanding performance against a field brimming with talent from Ethiopia, Zimbabwe and Namibia, not to mention the pride of South African middle distance road talent. And if 1st place is certain, 2nd and 3rd definitely aren't. The junior and the veteran both arriving at the stadium together. And there's a big upset on the cards outside the stadium as Kyla Jacobs, running one of the best races of her life, catches and then passes her teammate Kesa to move into 4th spot. It looks done and dusted for Kyla as she slowly moves away from her rival, sensing a season-best finish of 4th and an excellent time close to 33 minutes on her home turf. But sadly for her, a mix-up just outside the stadium puts her off balance, allowing Kesa to charge into the front. Now 4th place is really up for grabs. Tadu Nare, the 2022 SPAR Grand Prix winner, had this to say.
From the get-go, my plan, even before leaving my hometown, was to give from the get-go, just to give it all and improve my time. But due to personal issues and the travel, it just killed most of my time. We had to wait for hours at Joburg Airport to get here. It was jet lagged, and like physically I was a bit exhausted. Shouldn't be an excuse, but I still had to push myself, even though I didn't meet the targets or the plan that I wanted to overcome. But all in all, thank God it was good.
Sorry, next time ከመጣ አስተካክላለሁ።
The remarkable power of Johannes, more than twice the age of her rival, is evident as she proves once again by coming third in both this race and the Spar Grand Prix that she is without peer in the world as an over 40 runner.
I had a good season because from the beginning of the year I was preparing for Commonwealth Games. Then I come out with a bronze medal from Commonwealth Games. From there I was struggling a bit because our time was not on my side of doing my training as usually, because at the same time I'm studying, but I'm still happy with my results that I have produced in Spar Grand Prix.
Kesamolezani manages to hold off Kyla Jacobs to grab 4th place by just 1 second and also becomes the first South African over the line. But this has been a brilliant run by Jacobs, her best of the season.
In terms of consistency, I've really done well, but you know, individually, I think I've been more sick than the rest of the other seasons that I've been at the Spar Grand Prix. Hence, I'm saying only me and my coach would know what really had transpired throughout the season, but I'm glad that in the forefront we just presented what we could, and which is the best for the country.
The race went really well today. It was a beautiful day out. I had quite a big gap between me and some of the big pack, and I was able to close the gap and just finish strong with a nice last fast 1K and finish in 5th today. It's a big PB, I think it's about 12 seconds as well, so no, just really happy with the race.
Yvette van Zyl finishes 7th with Caroline Mandu between her and Jacobs. Kaklisile Sosibo rounds out a great season with a solid 8th place, while Glenrose Kaba of Boxer manages a smile and a wave as she comes home in 9th spot. Nare dominates with another sub-32 minute time, with Salam's 32.18, 25 seconds slower than Tadu and 3 seconds faster than Johannes. Jacobs posts an excellent PB with a 33.16. 9 runners beat 34 minutes, with Comrades' 3rd place finisher Adele Broodryk in 10th. There are no surprises in the age group results. Johannes and Gebre won again, as did Marily Munich in the over 50s and Judy Bird in the over 60s. Moving to the overall Spar Grand Prix results for 2022, Salam Gebre takes the junior title ahead of Karabo Motsweneng and Lee Marie Decker. In the over 40s, Johannes scores 50 points, while Yanni Grindlen grabs 2nd place, 9 points clear of former Comrades Marathon winner Shanae Bosman. In the 50 to 59 category, Marily Munich collects 56 points with Ronelle Thomas 2nd and Janine Carey 3rd. Judy Bird once again takes the 60s title from Karen Braff, with Spar race stalwart Grace de Oliveira 3rd. In the overall Spar Grand Prix, Tarinare wins with 179 points, 9 clear of Salam Gebre. Johannes is 3rd on 145. Kesamolezani is the top South African with 132, and Kaklisile Sosibo takes 5th place on the Grand Prix leaderboard. And there's huge applause when running legend Zola Butt, wearing her 50-year age tag, comes home in 42 minutes.
African female runners are really strong worldwide wherever you go, so they always dominate. So we have to be careful not to always measure our domestic runners or South African runners against the best Kenyans, because the best Kenyans and best Ethiopians come and train here and run here. So I think we measure them against the best in the world all the time, but I think the South African female runners are on track to really excel, and what I'm really excited about is the depth of the South African female runners that has really come along extremely well in the last few years, which I think is really good for South African running.
Tokyo 2020 Paralympic gold medalist Andrene Veyers, who has since retired, finishes the race in fine style. Remarkably, she is 3 months pregnant with her first child.
I wish I could stick with their pace, but I'm a track athlete, and the road is a different pace and a different journey. But I'm really, well, what an honour it is that Spar invited me to do the last one today in Cape Town, my hometown, and the route and everything was it's just a beautiful day, and just to be able to move and be healthy, what a gift.
Staying with athletes with a disability, the amazing 2020 Tokyo Paralympic silver medalist Lizanne Coetzee finishes with her race guide Klaus Kempen. Lizanne has just competed in the London Marathon.
The fact that SPAR has included disabled athletes and para-athletes into the Grand Prix is, for me, it's a great step, and I think it sets the tone for the rest of South Africa and the rest of the world in terms of breaking barriers and being inclusive. It's an honor for me to be here today.
It was a familiar scene at the prize giving as the Nedbank Green Machine once again takes all 3 podium places. So it's hats off to these wonderful athletes who have graced our shores with their brilliance once again, lifting the local runners Glenrose, Kesa, Tlisile, Kyla and others to new heights. When the 2023 Spar Grand Prix rolls around, we'll be there once again to welcome our faithful viewers. It's cheers for now. These highlights of the Spar Grand Prix Cape Town were brought to you by Spar and Athletics South Africa.